All right, everybody, it's Tia DeShay. I'm back. Got cut off on the other one, so this is part 3. So as I was saying, I took a 12-week prophetic internship with a couple who had a prophetic ministry out of Missouri, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. Learned a lot, and that was the catalyst into me going back to oracle cards, divination, using physical objects. So that was in 2014. So I decided, I was living in Atlanta at the time, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to quit my job. I felt like to quit my job and to go and pursue this divination thing again. So I did it. Now, mind you, I was really, really nervous because I had finally gotten a sense of stability and structure and security. Um, and it was like, oh no, I can't put myself in a situation again where I don't have money and I can't pay my rent and I'm out on the street again. But I did it anyway. I did it anyway. So I bought my first set of cards. It was by Doreen Virtue, Messages from Your Angels. Um, I actually had to replace the deck. Because it was so worn, I bought it again. But that was my first set of cards. It was my first set of cards to my new beginning. I will put it that way, with me going back into this world of divination. Because remember, I told you back in 2004, I purchased my very first set of cards, the Black Angel cards. And then once I went into organized religion and Christianity, I threw them away because, that's witchcraft, that's of the devil. So here I am beginning again, and I purchased my first set of cards with my new journey going forward. So then I know it was spirit that led me. I didn't even realize. I mean, I knew because I had called psychics before. Um, so I knew about psychics, or psychic hotlines, but it was like, oh, this is how they do it. They do it, through online. Well, I don't know how they were doing it then because the internet, when I was calling, when psychic hotlines first became a thing, there was no internet. So you would just call the 1-800 number. And then you would pay per minute. Um, so I called, I went online and I realized that there was an online platform where it was a psychic community, and people with different psychic gifts were paid. You could utilize their gifts and they were paid, to share their gifts. So the platform was called Ornum, ORANUM, Ornum. So I applied, and I got the job. So you needed a computer. I had a laptop. You needed a webcam. So I bought a webcam and I started reading cards. I started doing readings on Ornum. And for at that time, I made good money. I made good money. I was able to help. I was able to help strengthen my gift through that platform. Um, I will tell you this. I met. I will tell you this, that people in church can say what they want from the pulpit to the last pew in the back. They can say what they want about psychics, but um they utilize those services, and I'm gonna leave it at that, because I could tell you so many Christians came on to my site to have me do readings for them. So Christians can talk that mess all they want to, but I know because I was in it. I know. So I did that for a long time. I worked on Ornum, and then I found another website that was paying more money. So I did Ornum. Maybe I don't even remember how long I did Ornum. It wasn't that long, but I found another website that was paying more money because I really didn't like the webcam thing the thing because I found at one time someone booked a reading with me, and then they ended up, it was a male, and then they end up they were trying they were starting to unzip their pants to masturbate in front of me. And I was like, oh, hell no. And so I clicked off the camera, and I realized you know what, it's probably a lot of people who would have probably let him do that. And because the longer they stay on the webcam, the more money you get. So I'm sure that there were probably a lot of people who probably would have been like, whatever, let him do that just to get the money. And I was just like, okay, this is not safe. Um, they need to have some stricter guidelines and restrictions to prevent this type of behavior. And I was just like, okay, let me find, I'm not feeling this. And so I found another online psychic platform, and that was paying more, and I just uh signed on with them. And basically I was an independent contractor. So basically I was an entrepreneur. I was working for myself because I got a 1099. So I left Ornum, and I went to meetmypsychic.com or meetyouropsychic.com. And I worked for them. I worked for them all the way to 2000, and I started with them in 2015, and I worked with them all the way until 2017 for 2 years. I worked for them for 2 years, and really I could have worked with them longer. um because it took them a while to figure out that I hadn't made my schedule. Because what you would do is that every week you would tell them when you were available. You had to submit your schedule. And it took them a while to figure out that I hadn't submitted a schedule for them in almost 6 months. And so they just they terminated my contract with them. Because if you go so long without, you know, logging in and fulfilling hours with them, then they just terminate the contract. But they are both online platforms, Ornum and Meet Your Psychic, are still available. So I did that for, like I said, to like 2017, because I went back to teaching in January of 2017. So I stopped doing the online psychic thing because I just didn't have the time with lesson planning and all of that. And so I just continued my personal readings. So while I was doing that in Atlanta in 2015, I was also doing personal readings. So I was getting income that way. And also in Atlanta, um, I purchased my first crystal. I actually found a crystal, and then I purchased my first crystal, and I started getting into crystals. Um, and just the cards. It was the cards. And so I also bought, I think it was in 2015, 2014. No, it was in 2015. I purchased my first set of tarot cards. Um, because I was comfortable with oracle cards. Like oracle cards, I'm a I'm a beast with oracle cards. I love oracle cards. Um, But I had a reading done and I was encouraged to start really, I guess you could say, expanding my gifts. So I was told to purchase a set of tarot cards, which I did. And it took me a while. It took me a while to really understand and to connect with tarot. Um, Tarot is so much symbolism in tarot. It's unreal, and I just think you are a lifelong student with tarot, that you never master tarot because there's so much involved in tarot. So by the time I came back to Detroit in 2016, um, I was a psychic. Like I did readings. And I used to label psychic. I was a psychic. I did readings. So I was doing that full time. That's how I was making my money. So when I came back to Detroit in 2016, on Facebook, and I started, it was through YouTube and Facebook Live. I started getting into, which I didn't know at the time, was like hoodoo, Wicca, some people call it witchcraft, magic, alchemy. I started getting into that. I was part of a group, and the person who was the moderator of the group on Facebook, she had a candle ritual that she did every Thursday. It was a money ritual that she did, and she had success with it. And she shared it with us what we were to do. And so at the time, when I came back to Detroit, at the time, um, I was just getting back acclimated to Detroit. I had been gone from Detroit to almost 3 years. So I didn't have a car, but I did have a place to stay. I'm trying to get my bearings together, and it was new to me because it wasn't the same Detroit that it was when I left. So it just having to come back and acclimate, even though I was born and raised in Detroit, it was just coming back here and getting used to this new environment. Like the energy had really changed in Detroit, and it wasn't for the good. Um, so, you know, I was still trying to get myself together, in that financially. So when she was talking about this ritual, this candle ritual that she would do every Thursday, I'm like, okay, you know, so I was like, okay, well, let me try it. So, um, I went at this time. I went to the thrift store and they had candles, so I bought some green candles. And she explained how to do it, like with the herbs and the oils, and what herbs and oils that you needed that corresponded to money and wealth. And so, I the herbs that I needed was what you cook with. So I went to the grocery store and got me a dollar bottle of herbs that I needed. At the liquor store, they had the oil that I needed, and I bought it. And every Thursday, I started doing these money candle rituals. And that began my journey with using candles, oils, and herbs to change the energy around me, to change my energy, the energy around me, and its influences on me. And it worked. I started doing the ritual. I started getting more clients. Um, I ended up. I decided I was going to go back to teaching, and so I had to go. I had to go back to school to take some classes to renew my license, my teaching license. So I did that. I was able to get a car. The lease was up. I was able to move and get my and moving to a new place. Then once I moved into that new space, I started getting into altar work. I set up an altar in my new space. Um, Started looking into, honoring my ancestors, things like that. I kept doing my candle workings. I learned about, no, it wasn't then. So I just continued to do my candle workings. I learned about altars and uh, honoring my ancestors. I started doing that. A year later, this was in 2017. Um, no, the candle working, doing the money candle working. I started doing that in 2017. And then in 2018 is when I moved to my new place. Started doing the altar work. That's when I purchased my first house, and I moved into my house. And once I moved into my house is when I actually dedicated, it was my spiritual room is what I called it. I dedicated an entire room in my house where I did my altar work, and I really started getting heavy into candles. I started using candles, herbs, and oils to help change different situations that was occurring in my life. I really was heavy with candle work and altar work. That was like in 2018, 2019. Uh, then in 2020 is when I took my first virtual course with Iyanla Van Zant. 2020 is when we went into the pandemic. I continued my altar work. I continued doing my candle work. I continued to learn more about ancestor reverence and honor. I learned about ancestor money. I just started adding more tools to my spiritual tool belt. Um, then in 2020, yeah, then in 2021, I took another course with Iyanla Van Zant, Healing Ancestral Patterns. That's when I started learning about spiritual baths, started taking spiritual baths, um, started incorporating that into my spiritual practice in 2021. Then in 2021 is when I really started in 2021, I left teaching, and on March 1st, 2021, I left teaching. Um, I didn't know much about numerology. I knew some things about numerology, but not a lot. But now that I'm telling the story, March 1st, 2021, if you add it up, that was 9. 9 is completion, and 9 is my life path number. So, um, I left teaching and I said, I'm doing this thing full time. Now in 2016, I think it was, or 2017, I was just scrolling through the internet, and I found out about the University of Metaphysics in Sedona, Arizona, and they were offering a scholarship. And I applied and I got it. Um, and I had to pay for it. Like they paid 1,200 of my tuition, and I had to pay the other 1,000. So it was like, I think $60 a payment plan. I forgot how much it was per month that I paid. And that was like in 2017. But I did not I enrolled in the school because it's virtual. I enrolled in the school, um, but I didn't start seriously committing taking classes for my bachelor's degree until 2021. After I quit teaching, I started in March gung ho with my classes. And in December of 2021, I received my bachelor's of metaphysics. I became an ordained minister of metaphysics, and I became a practitioner of metaphysics. So I fulfilled, I knew that goal or prophecy of my life of becoming a minister. I completed that in December of 2021. In November, from November to January 2021, I took a course with an elder in the community, an alchemy course. I think it was like 4 or 5 weeks. I learned about alchemy. I learned the alchemaic symbols, all of that. Um, I did that from November of 2021 to January of 2022. Uh, Starting next week, will begin a 5-week course on Wicca, learning how to use herbs. Basically, it's metaphysical. Learning how to use herbs for protection work, and for protection work, it's mostly protection work. I think she's really going to be focused on how to use herbs for protection work. Just to expand my knowledge and awareness on that, because I'm already doing that, but she's going to give me more insight than what I already have. And so now, in 2021, after I left teaching, I decided I am a teacher. That is one of my giftings, but I am using my teaching gift now in teaching people how to live a spiritual life intentionally every day, and how you can incorporate it in your everyday life and it becomes as easy as breathing, as natural as breathing. Like it's so imperative that we incorporate this in our everyday life. And so, especially for Black people, like we got to get back to our indigenous spiritual practices. So, I realized that all this time I'm actually practicing hoodoo. So, I love hoodoo. I incorporate hoodoo in my spiritual practice. Um, Wicca is incorporated in my elements of Wicca are incorporated in my spiritual practice. The reason why hoodoo, because that is part of my lineage, because the hoodoo comes so naturally to me, and I was doing it anyway, because hoodoo is really, in short, long story short, is really about helping you to break free from oppressive situations and stay free from oppressive situations. So I noticed that that's what I'm gifted in. Like, if I really put my mind to it, I really do the work, I can get out of any oppressive binding situation. So hoodoo is definitely in my bloodline because it came so natural to me. I was doing it before I knew it was called hoodoo. Um, but I also understand Wicca may also be in my bloodline, because when I did my ancestry, I have like Ireland. I have a percentage of Ireland in me, a percentage of Northwestern Europe in me, Wales in me. So it's no coincidence that I'm drawn to elements of Wicca. So that has been, in 3 parts, my life, my story about how I went from being a Jehovah Witness to now I'm on this path of I believe, I label it as I'm just practicing what my people practice, my indigenous spiritual practice. This is what they did, and I'm continuing the tradition. Um I believe in one God, but I believe that God expresses him herself in many forms, in many ways, in ways that cannot even be counted. Um, that God that God is in everything. Um, like there's one source, and that source is just like expressed in a myriad of ways. I believe that what I do, like divination, tarot, candle workings, energy healing, all of that is of God. But when human beings, when we get involved in things, we tend to mess things up because we get perverted with our ego, and we get perverted through greed, lust, all that stuff. Um, Also, I research. I look at, and it's no coincidence I have a minor in history. My undergraduate, I have a minor in history because I research. I look at the history behind things. And religion will just tend to just have you just, oh, everything is of the devil. Everything is of the devil. If it's not in the Bible, it's of the devil. And it's just, you really have to do your research and see the origin of things. And so everything that I do, I know the origin of it. I know the history behind it. So it doesn't bother me anymore when I don't need to explain. I don't need to argue with people when people say, "Oh, you're of the devil," and that's that hoodoo stuff, and "Oh, you're a witch." Yes, I'm a witch. Thank you so very much. Yes, I am. And I know how to work both hands. I know how to work light and dark. But it's always for the highest and greatest good of all involved. Um, and so that's been my journey. That is my story of how like I said, how I went from being a Jehovah's Witness to where I am now. I have, I mean, I guess with labels, I'm a practicing, I'm a practitioner of metaphysics. Um, if you just need labels, I guess, but I don't really label myself. I I would say in a nutshell, I am involved in the spiritual arts. That's how, if I had to just put it summarize and put it in a nutshell, that I am, yes, I'm involved in the spiritual arts. That's what I am. I'm involved in the spiritual arts because what I do is artistic, and it's creative, and it transforms people. It changes people for the better, like just like musicians and artists and painters. They change people for the better through their art, through their music, um, through their plays, um, through their comedy. Anybody that's artistic, um, that it is called the media arts or the fine arts. Well, I'm in the spiritual arts. I work, and I express myself through the spiritual arts. So this has been another Mirror Moment message with Tia DeShay. It's been 3 long messages, but that's how I got to where I am today, and I'm so excited to see what else is going to come out of this. But I specifically help people transform their energy through divination, which is through tarot and oracle cards, through prophetic messages, and also through candle, herbs, and oils. I help people transform their energy that way. I also help people transform their energy using water, I make bath products to help you transform your energy using the water element. And I also um, write. I'm an author, so I help people transform their energy through the books that I write. So that's what I do. You can utilize my services through my website, tiadeshay.com. You can also download my app, Mirrored Moments app. And you can utilize my resources that way. I also teach classes on Udemy under Reverend Deandra Everhart. And I also, if you want to purchase my books, you can go through Amazon or any retailer that sells books and purchase my books, Tia DeShay. So this has been another Mirror Moment message with Tia DeShay. Remember, pay attention to what you don't see, because what you don't see will help you make sense of what you are seeing. And I titled these messages Guiding Spirit, because that's from the time I became a Jehovah's Witness until now, it has been Spirit guiding me the entire way. And for that, I am so grateful. For that, I am so thankful. And it will be Spirit guiding me from here on out until my assignment is complete on this earthly realm. So remember, pay attention to what you don't see, because what you don't see will help you make sense of what you are seeing. Thank you for allowing me to share my story with you. Hopefully it will encourage you, if you're on this path, to keep going and know you're not crazy, and that everything that you've experienced spiritually, whether it's been with religion or however your path is going, that it was for a reason. It was for a reason. Like all of the skills that you learned in your different religious, on your different religious paths or in your religious upbringing, you still need them in this new path that you're on. I may not go to church every Sunday, but I still love the Bible. If you know anything about hoodoo, you know that the Bible is one of the main tools in hoodoo. I still use the Bible when I'm creating my candles, when I'm doing my candle workings, when I'm making my bath products. I use the Bible. I use the energy of the words in the Bible. So, you had those religious experiences for a reason, and just ask Spirit how what the reason was and how you can integrate that into where you are now. I don't believe that you're just supposed to just totally just throw it all away and dismiss all of it and none of it was no good. Like, no, I believe that you had those experiences for a reason, for a purpose, and that they are valuable in your practice that you are currently engaged in right now. Just ask the Spirit, how are they relevant? How can you utilize them? Don't just totally dismiss it. There's some value in those religious practices and rituals that you engaged in your religious upbringing. Okay. So thank you so much for allowing me to share my story with you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'll talk to you soon.